Hello Namtum Makers family. In this video we are exploring the top 10 ultimate Japanese circular saw hacks for woodworking.